visit that you've done since you've been back as a coach at BYU. How nervous are you right now?
On a scale of 1 to 10, probably about a 9.5. Yeah.
Really? Jerem is an intimidating presence, isn't he?
Physically, right?
When you're with friends, you never know what they're going to say. You never know what they're going to ask you.
That's a fair worry, a fair concern for sure.
How's fall camp going, especially with the offensive line, your guys?
Good so far, for just having 4 practices under our belt. I think we're working on the things that we plan to, which is a good sign. Sometimes you get going and you have to slow down a little bit because guys aren't keeping up. So we're where we want it to be. We're tracking. So I feel like, things are going in. The guys are learning. We've got good carryover from spring ball. And so far so good, and people are staying pretty healthy. So good so far.
Ed Lamb talked about the one thing that he wanted to see from BYU football in general was, I want to see if we're better than we were on the final day of spring compared to the first day of fall. Do you feel like your guys showed up better for the first day of fall compared to the end of spring?
More physical than spring. We didn't get to pick up exactly where we left off the last day of spring ball, but close, and physically they were so much more ready to do what we were asking them to do that we got it in a lot quicker and we were able to get going pretty fast. So I'm happy with where we've started, but we just, are getting into pads now. So the full contact stuff is coming, and none of the stuff we do without pads on counts. So far they're learning, they're asking good questions, but when we really pad up and go, that's when we'll see where we really are.
The last few years, the emphasis was speed for the offense, and that changed kind of the dynamic for the offensive line. What do you guys hope to see out of your guys with this new offense?
Well, the emphasis was speed of play. We still emphasize speed. We're just not the same tempo. And so we might be in a huddle, we might do things differently in terms of how we use the game clock, but speed is a big part of everything we're asking them to do. And so I think the big adjustment for them early in the spring was changing the tempo to the tempo that we wanted. But I don't know if I've ever had to tell my guys to work hard or play hard or hustle. I mean, it's ingrained in them. So I think the speed part has been fun, seeing how they've come out of their conditioning program for this off season. They are fast and they're working hard, and I don't have a frame of reference other than spring ball to go off of, but I'm happy with where they are. It's a process, and we're still at the beginning of it. So all the excitement and good energy has a lot of good feelings around, but we still know there's a lot of work to do.
I was hoping you'd say, yeah, they're way slower than last year. I didn't get that answer.
If they were, I probably wouldn't tell you.
And that is the truth we are looking for during this interview. Okay, some obvious key names missing on the roster right now: Kyle Johnson, Brad Wilcox. You've been handed a challenge early in this season, but I know you're not one to back down from a challenge. So how have you responded early in camp without those two guys playing with you right now?
Well, you just set the expectation with the guys that are here. You sit down and you say, hey, we're going to win with who's here. We've got to play with the team that we have, and no matter who's not with us, there's still a game on September 3rd. So everyone has to step up and be ready to go. And on the offensive line, we're trying to establish a 2-deep, get a lot of guys developed and ready that they can contribute if we need them, sort of a next man up mentality. And so, we sit down, we look around and say, this is who we have, let's go, and let's all be ready to step up and get the job done. And so it is a challenge at times because the guys you mentioned that we don't have with us right now have a lot of experience. So the guys that are stepping in right now are some of them have started some games, but you get a guy like Kyle Johnson. He started, I don't know, somebody told me the other day it was like 60 games. I mean, how do you replace that? Not having him is tough, because we would really like to have someone with that kind of game experience in our lineup, but he's not here. And hopefully he'll be healthy and can contribute with us later on. But right now, we still have a game to play, so we got to get everybody ready. And so I think we try to emphasize that challenge creates opportunities, and we've got some great young players, and they have to step up now, and whatever they do this season is just going to help them, because we'll have them back in the next coming years.
Kalani Sitake said that some of the offensive linemen gained upwards of 40 pounds. Were there guys that gained 40 pounds?
I don't know. If he says it, he probably looked at a number that he saw that, and it could be that maybe one or two of the guys that were just fresh home off of missions in December and January we're able to get those kind of gains over the off season. I don't know exactly what they've done, but they are bigger.
And you wanted them to be bigger?
Yeah, and we told them, hey, go for it. As long as you can move and do the things we're asking you to do, let's get as big and strong and powerful as we can. Our system is conducive to that type of a offensive lineman, so just go for it. And some of them had some great gains in the off season, and I think some of them had been trying to hold back and keep weight off because they were playing so hard and so fast and going all the time, that they had tried to stay a little bit leaner. So when we let them loose and let them go, they probably got back to naturally where they would have been, and then we're able to really take advantage of the off season. But you got to understand, I mean, when you're a 20, 21, 22-year-old guy and you have a professional strength coach working with you every day, and you have, they get fed and they get rest, and the only thing they have to do for the last 8 months was train, their bodies are going to respond to that. And so they've really done a good job in the off season, and now we just got to get that on the football field.
Speaking of weight fluctuations, yesterday I believe it was Ben Cahoon that said Mike Empey's lost at least 100 pounds and he loves the camera now.
From when you played?
Not
in the past year.
Are those true statements?
No.
Leave it to the receivers coach, right?
Yeah, no, he likes giving me a hard time. I'm not as big as when I played, but offensive linemen, we kind of get used to just being in the background, and it's okay, because usually when we're not just in the background, it's because we did something wrong, not because of any other reason, we're having a lot of fun here. That's made everything, kind of enjoyable. And Ben's we're close, and he's a great guy, and he's pretty fun to pick on.
What will we notice that's different from your group this year with a new coaching staff and you as the new O-line coach?
I just hope people see us establishing the line of scrimmage and being a dominant force up there. And there's going to be times where one-on-one matchups aren't favorable to us. There's going to be times where we play really good physical defenses and things like that. But the culture we're trying to create, the way that we're trying to have our group be, is to be really physical, really nasty, guys that enjoy getting out and establishing the run game and doing those kinds of things. And so I hope that that's what shows up this year. That's what we're trying to establish.
BYU has long been associated with drop back passing attack since the early 70s and the days of Lavelle. But the sense I get from the coaches and the players is you're okay running the ball more than throwing it. Is that an accurate assessment?
Yeah, I mean, if you really look at what we did, I mean, Ty will point this out. If you look at his years of playing, we might have had a game where someone was going to give us a lot of yards through the air. Maybe we threw a lot more times in that game, but there's a lot of games where we threw the ball 25 times or 28 times or maybe 19 times. And if we have established a good balance and we're moving the football and controlling the clock, that's the kind of, people in a pro-style offense or a West Coast offense, people talk about how you want to be balanced. Balance doesn't always mean 50-50. A good balanced West Coast attack could be 60% run, and then you pick your shots, right? You run the ball, get some nice play action, and then your drop back stuff is meant to complement that game. And so, I think any coach probably anywhere in the country, unless they were in a really high-powered passing attack, would tell you that they're striving to find balance, and that all depends on how you can move the ball on first and second down. And so our emphasis is going to be to put ourselves in good situations so that we're just not going out and throwing the ball 3 times in a row and then punting.
I imagine as the O-line coach, you could take a couple different angles with this. It doesn't matter who the running back is; we'll make sure that he gets his yards. Or, hey, we have a guy with a certain skill set. Let's cater what we do to emphasize that guy. How do you handle that, especially with a good running back core like this?
The second thing you said, we have some good running backs. Let's emphasize those guys and let's give them a chance to get into space and do what they do. And if the threat of those guys getting into space creates opportunities in the pass game, great, we'll take them. But I've been here. I coached when we had Luke Staley, and I've coached when we've had other good running backs, solid running backs. Harvey was here after Luke, and when you have that really durable, strong running back that can really it can cover up a lot of mistakes for everybody. When you have that kind of a running back, you want to give him as many opportunities as you can to do what he does, because he's a special player. And if you look at our guys, Jamal, Riley, Squally, Die, those guys that are back there right now, Algie, they're guys that can do things with the football in their hands. And so, my job up front is to make sure that we create opportunities for us to use those guys.
How much do you get to actually interact with the running backs, given that your guys are blocking for them in terms of personality and spending time with them?
I probably get it, in the hallways and in between meetings and on the bus going somewhere or in the locker room, joking around. I probably get a lot of interaction with them more from a casual. I'm probably more like some crazy uncle or something instead of their position coach. So, they probably, we probably get a joke around and talk and things. Jamal would joke around and talk with anybody, and those guys are all great guys. They have great personalities, and so we interact a little bit. When we're on the field, they come over and do some drills with my guys to work on timing and things. So I don't see them as much as I see my own guys, but we have time together.
Let's finish with this. I know you had the O lineman at your house for dinner. How much food are we talking about when you have that situation? Yeah, a bunch of times.
Well, it's a lot. So fortunately, we have the opportunity to do some things like that and to build some unity, and it's kind of a unique thing. Fortunately, my wife is she's used to having an offensive line, hanging around the house, whether it was our high school offensive line or when I was coaching before or when I was playing offensive line. So she's kind of used to the portions and what it takes to get that done. This time around, I'll be honest with you, this time around we've done a little bit more catering for things like that than cooking for things like that, because it's a lot of food.
It's a wise choice.
Yeah.
Experience right there.
That's right.
That's a wise choice. I'll ask this before I let you go. When do you anticipate to have a starting offensive line named and ready to go for game number 1?
Well, so that's a question. People have had a lot of questions about that because of some of the people who are with us now or who haven't been with us. And, overall, I wish it was an easy question for me to answer, but I want everybody to understand this is what we're doing. We need to have a 2-deep. When we got here, the 2-deep was basically, about 7 guys. And they were all playing really hard, but they played multiple positions and they swapped around. And if the right guard went down, then you put this guy in and you move the left tackle over here and you do this. And there's like a Rubik's Cube all the time. What I want to have there are 5 positions on the offensive line. I want to have 10 guys ready to play. And 5 guys might be the best, but the 5 behind them, I want to be proficient enough that if somebody rolls their ankle or their helmet comes off and they have to come out of the game or whatever happens, the next man up runs in there instead of us having to move everybody around and do all that. And that way we're developing that second team to one day be the first team. And so ideally, that's what I'm trying to do. So we have some pretty good players that aren't really far apart in some situations as far as their skill. So we're trying to give them equal reps and give them an opportunity, especially early here in camp, to compete, to be a starter. And we want to keep that fair. We want to keep it a system where a guy can feel like he went in and battled and was rewarded for battling, and even if he maybe didn't win the starting spot, he knows he's solid in the 2-deep. And so I would like to have that play out till maybe a week or 2 right before game time, and then we should be done with our grading and installing and teaching new things. And when we really start to game plan for Arizona, we know who our 2-deep is and who's going to be on the bus when we leave, to go. And that'll probably be the timing for that. But I think the important thing for people to understand is everybody's anxious to see if this guy or that guy are going to be in the lineup, and I am too, but I want it to be a lineup that I'm completely confident in and that the players themselves know, hey, this is our 5 best guys. Let's get behind this and let's get it done. So.
Everybody loves their crazy uncle. And we love the
Crazy
offensive
Uncle
line
Mike.
coach, Mike Empey.
That's right. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate you guys having me.